This is the SKS, and whether you're a Canadian or a broke college kid who can't afford an AK, you're probably familiar with it. But what makes the SKS so iconic? Today we're going to break down its history, how it shaped global conflict, and why it's making a comeback. But what does SKS actually stand for? It stands for, well, this, which roughly translates to the rifle you can buy when you can't afford rent. Kidding, it actually translates to Simonov self-loading carbine, named after the designer, Sergei Simonov. And between Russia, China, Yugoslavia, over 15 million of these rifles were produced. Even today, militaries all over the world still use them for ceremonial honor guards. But despite pumping out millions of these things, its time on the front lines was incredibly short. Almost soon after it was adopted, a guy named Kalashnikov showed up. Militaries quickly realized that a 10-round fixed mag couldn't compete with the AK's 30-round detachable magazine. The SKS got shoved to the back of the armory and eventually flooded the civilian markets with surplus. Because they were so cheap, the SKS soon became Bubba's favorite victim. So if it's an outdated 10-round relic, why is everyone suddenly buying them again? Well, down in the States, a few things happened. Firstly, the market got flooded with poorly manufactured, cheap AKs with bad quality control. Combine that with the fact that the US banned Russian and Chinese imports, that's a recipe for skyrocketing prices. And up here in Canada, the situation is even crazier. The SKS is one of the few semi-auto centerfire rifles that hasn't been completely wiped off the map. Because it's one of the last legal remaining options, people are suddenly paying absurd amounts of money for an 80-year-old surplus rifle. But despite the insane prices and people who love to call it an obsolete piece of garbage, honestly, the SKS is vastly underrated. To show you what I mean, we're going to take a look at this rifle I have out here today. It's a Chinese Type 56 SKS. So why is it underrated? Well, if you look at the manual of arms, yes, it's a little bit clunky compared to modern rifles. The safety is literally inside the trigger guard. Loading it means jamming 10 rounds of 7.62x39 from a stripper clip into the internal magazine, which takes a lot of practice to do smoothly under pressure. But once you get it loaded, it's basically indestructible, even with the cheapest ammunition you can find. People are finally waking up to the fact that the SKS isn't just a budget compromise, it's a fantastic rifle in its own right. Can't talk about its manual of arms without talking about its most iconic feature, the bayonet. This particular SKS features a blade bayonet. We know this thing's built like a tank, we know why the market's going crazy, but just talking about reliability is cheap. That's why we brought a pile of ammo and stripper clips, and we're gonna see if we can burn this thing to the ground. And real quick, before we burn this thing down, do me a massive favor and hit that subscribe button. It helps out the channel a ton. All right, let's get into it. Once you actually get this out to the range, you realize why shooters are respecting it again. Shoots very flat and it just does not quit. Bayonet testing with an apple. So why is everyone buying the SKS? It's not just because the imports are banned down south. It's not just because it's the last remaining option in Canada. People are buying them because beneath the questionable accuracy, stiff stripper clips, it's a phenomenal bomb-proof piece of history that holds its own today. The SKS is officially back. The SKS